his dad, you know. I'm not that old yet, but it's awesome for him. Either way, I think the entire playoffs have been awesome. We can take a look at the road to the finals that both players went through, and I think it's safe to say we saw a lot of awesome StarCraft.
Arguably, Snute with the hardest road of anyone through this tournament. He did, of course, get only second placed in the group stage. He did, fall early on there to Puck. But going through Nurture and then Petit Drogo to make it here to this finals, that's no easy road.
Definitely, and here we see him. It is going to be our Norwegian player, Snute. And I think, as we said before, a lot of people favor this guy, but I don't know, like, he played so well against Drogo, but he also knows Drogo's style very, very well.
Yep, it's going to be a different series against Harstem for sure, and I haven't seen Harstem play a whole lot of super important PvZ lately. He did, of course, play against Iasonu twice in the group stage, but Iasonu is so different than Snute that's almost a different matchup, you know, that has nothing to do with each other. Iasonu, non-stop aggression. Snute, I would say aggression, but often very calculated aggression, and there's a reason why he's going for a certain build, because either he saw this or that, or he's expecting this or that. He's not the guy that starts a game, he's like, I'm just going to go for a link float and see what it does.
He never rolls the dice,
no.
Not at all. And Harstem here, he is a player who traditionally often has been quite of a macro-style player. He is quite defensive. He just never had the same fearsome reputation as someone like Drogo, who kind of powered to the top of the scene so quickly. But he's absolutely capable of playing that big mid-game, massive Charge Lord Archon army. He can go to late game, and he's someone who's showed that he's very happy to take a fifth. And as I said before, think Snute is favored here. But with Harstem's momentum, with that smile on his face, he definitely is exuding confidence right now. I think the first few games are going to be very important to set the pace. Can Harstem do well on those maps, especially map 1, which was his pick on Dust Towers? Is he going to be able to make that count?
Couldn't agree more. I think Dusk is going to be a very important map here for the grand finals of WCS Shanghai. It's been an amazing tournament so far, but it's time to close it out. Only one can be the winner. And we're looking right now at the main base of the first Dutch player in a long time in the finals of a Premier League SC2 event. It's Harstem.
And his opponent, of course, a veteran. It is going to be the Norwegian player playing for Team Liquid. It is Snute.
Snute, of course, has been here before multiple times, won a home Story Cup, won a seed Story Cup, had a deep runs in multiple events, even very recently. I mean, let's not forget, these are back-to-back final appearances for Snute. Super impressive. Harstem on the other end, the first Dutch player ever to make it to a WCS finals. I mean, of course, Red won tournaments in 2011, but when it comes to a WCS event, there is no Dutch player that ever went all the way. Grubby got to the semis, Utermo got to the semis and DreamHack Leipzig, but Harstem is the very first Dutchie to go all the way, and I think that's already something to be very proud of.
The chance of Holland may be very strong tonight.
Hup, Holland, hup. Sing it for me, Pick.
I don't know if I'm that much of an honorary Dutchman just yet. Do see the pylon coming down. You're going to try and block this expansion. Snute, interestingly, going for the same hatch pool hatch that he opened up most of his games in the previous series against Drogo. Looking like he's really favoring that. He is now reacting with a gas to his hatchery being blocked. Unlike, Tude Ming in his match not wanting to go and take an expansion further away.
Yeah, and well, the style you are talking about, the Snute has been going along with a lot of roaches, did work really well for him, but as we talked about before as well, Harstem is a completely different opponent, and we're going to see, especially on Dusk Towers, who's going to be the aggressor, because, I mean, it can be quite difficult for Snute to do the same build that he did against Drogo right here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that was a bizarre build, and it definitely worked very well, even though Drogo saw it early on. Obviously, if you look back at it, there's always things that you can do better in defending it, but it's very hard to make all the right decisions on the fly. I mean, that's what makes StarCraft 2 such a difficult game, right? I do not think, however, that Snute would go for a build like that twice in a row. That's not the Snute tournament player that I know.
Not at all. Harstem looking like he really wants to see, is Snute actually going to commit to mining that gas or not? His probe has only just left the base now as the queens are about to pop. Seeing that Snute was continuing to mine that gas and dropping a Stargate of his own. Very typical play on this map. Going to be going up for those fast Phoenixes, no doubt. While Snute does start the fast Zergling speed and pulling off that gas, looking like he still wants to focus on a very mineral-focused build, not teching crazily fast, just getting the safe Zergling speed.
And nothing really looking weird so far, at least. Going to see the first Death coming in here, poking a bit. Don't see any links really to defend with, but Only one adept, should be able to do way too much damage. We're going to see.
Oh, no
Harstem coming in here.
queens. No queens in the main. Big mistake from Snute here. No Zerglings out either, as you pointed out there, Alex. 2 drones already
That's
going
big,
down.
man.
And a
Wow.
third one. Oh my god, lost mining time as
4?
well.
No.
This is absolutely massive damage. You know, the adept's still alive, does finally get surrounded, but 4 drone kills and forcing the spore trick, that's really unnecessary damage.
Harstem getting a little bit greedy there. I think he could have got 4 kills and get the adept out of there, but he's like, hey man, this is going so well. Let's just stay here and try to get 2 more drones. But still, already very, very massive. I mean, often you see Protoss players make this very similar attack with just 2 adepts, you know, in the phase in the game as Zerg is droning up. If I get 4 drones with 2 adepts, I'm like, hey, totally worth it. You know, that was pretty damn awesome. That's going to make my Phoenixes so much more impactful in this phase in the game. He did it with 1 adept. Excellent start for Harstem.
And the Phoenix is already picking away at the Overlords. Snute now feeling like he's forced into building a small pack of Zerglings to maintain map control to see if there's any follow-up adept pressure coming his way. Snute going to try and re-establish his economy, but if those Phoenixes can find enough kills, enough Overlords, enough drones, and even a queen or 2, Snute's economy could be looking very hard.
Harstem has a couple of units here, but can he keep these Nexus alive? No, he can. Well done there by Snute. He's right there immediately when he wants to be, when he needs to be. And even though I don't think he's going to be able to cancel it again, that's still nice. This is going to delay this Nexus for a solid 35-40 seconds and a little bit of cancel cost.
And even more Zerglings on the way from Snute, looking like he might even go for a second cancel here. This is so uncharacteristic of Snute. In Harstem's shoes, you're thinking, okay, he's gone for the cancel. We can re-establish that Nexus, but we're about to see a big flood of Lings come out across that map. They're running around the side, so they avoid the vision of the Phoenixes. Snute really committing to get another cancel here.
How do you feel about it? You think it's going to work against 5-6 adepts and a Photon overcharge? I'm not too sure, man.
I mean, it can be really difficult though, because there are no oracles or anything to help out. Only some phoenixes, and I mean, this is a lot of Zerglings coming in. The second pylon does finish up though, and we do have enough energy. Here comes the double Photon overcharge, but
I don't think it's ever going to work. I mean, it's a lot of Lings, but the adepts are absolutely phenomenal against Lings. Photon overcharge is phenomenal against literally everything. So Snute just made a lot of Lings, and he doesn't get the return of investment that he was looking for.
A little bit too sneaky with that. If he kept the initial Lings down there, he may have been able to deny the pylons, kind of delay it gradually, but now committing to that sneaky attack, not quite getting the payoff that he wanted. Harstem starting to stabilize now on that third base. The double robo going down, powering towards the mass immortal that he wants to get to.
This is kind of nice. He should be able to get a pylon there. I think he got a cancel on another pylon, but that is going to be all for now. A couple of queens are exposed. The Phoenixes will find them and will pick them off. So far, I think Harstem has been pretty damn effective with these Phoenixes, but he hasn't killed a whole lot of drones.
And drones is what Snute does have plenty of right now, but his tech is incredibly slow. I mean, keep in mind, as time goes on, Snute's very wary of a powerful Protoss Immortal Ball, Immortal Archon Ball, and with the lair only just finishing at almost 6 minutes 30, there's lurkers nowhere in sight. There aren't even Hydralisks anywhere in sight. Right now, Snute doesn't have a lot to work with in this mid-game.
Yeah, his economy is phenomenal though. 73 drones even after losing 9 drones total. And yes, double robo is already running at full speed. I still think that Snute is going to have the time to really utilize the phenomenal economy he has. If Harstem can snipe that drone that's going to try to morph into a fourth base, he has no energy. No energy.
Oh, such a missed opportunity. That's one of the most annoying things the Zerg play can face. Oh, the Adepts! Just barely not seen by the Zerglings. I don't think Snute realizes he's not building any more units at home. If these Zerglings throw themselves away here, those Adepts are going to have a chance to do a lot of damage in this third base.
And these Phoenix, of course, can just stay at the ramp and just pick up units for ages. Going to see Harstem position himself very nicely. Here comes the Adepts right in towards that main base, and virtually no units ready for Snute. 32 Lings on the way, but that's a bit too late.
Yep,
Oh,
there are
wow.
spore crawlers that are going to protect these queens for now, and these queens are, even though they will fall, they're buying time, making sure he won't lose 15 or 16 drones over here. But still, this is an absolutely phenomenal position for these Adepts, and Harstem is getting a lot of value out of these Adepts.
Even just trading off for the Zerglings is great here. Those Adepts, each one being worth their weight in gold. And hey, guess what else? He sees the Lurkiden timing. He sees the Spire. He knows exactly what Snute can do from here. Harstem has to be feeling very happy and very comfortable right now.
And he gets so many queens as well. Like, everything is going well for Harstem at this point. Snute kind of struggling to deal with his aggression, but now finally he's kind of stabilizing, getting a 5th base, but Harstem is looking so solid right now.
I love it. I love that you mentioned the queens as well. 5 queens have gone down. That's a lot of queens to lose in an 8-minute game. But even though Snute I mean, Snute has been taking a couple of losses here and there. His economy has still sort of been untouched, other than that second wave of Zerglings that didn't really do all that much. It's been pretty damn smooth, and I'm not sure if this attack by Harstem is going to hit in time. If Harstem can get a snipe on his fort base, that would be massive, but he doesn't have, well, he actually has quite a bit of energy on these Phoenixes. It's going to be close. These Hydralisks and Lynx are definitely going to try to protect his fort base, but if Harstem can get a snipe off, that would be so big for the Dutch Protoss.
Oh, this is huge. Yeah, the 5th base is done on the other side, but still just getting that pickup, and Snoot's so afraid he's not even going out to face it. Charge isn't done yet, it's only a small force, yet Harstem feeling the fear from Snoot here. He's got to feel so powerful. There's no creep spread out for Snoot yet. All those queens dying has hurt him in so many different ways.
And Snute, of course, going for such a fragile army as well. I mean, Storm's going to be quite fantastic, having charge lots, having +1, having Storm. It's going to be such a great army against this kind of Ling Hydra-based one that we see from Snute.
Yeah, the Lurkers are going to be the real problem, though. Like, Ling Hydra is absolutely not scary anymore for Harstem. He's going to shut that down. But Lurkers is still a different ballgame. Immortals can be phenomenal against Lurkers, but it all comes down to engagement. It really comes down to execution. A couple of Corruptors being thrown in the mix right now. That's interesting, because he doesn't have a hive yet. So these Corruptors are purely there to either chase down a Prism or snipe these Phoenixes.
It's a really odd decision, I have to agree there, Roddy. I mean, obviously they can use their caustic spray on buildings for harassment, but not exactly the most solid kind of reliable harassment plan. War Prism making its way around the left-hand side. That's where the Corruptors will definitely come in handy, shutting that down. And there we do finally see that Infestation Pit from Snoot. I mean, I definitely felt like this game, there was no opportunity to win in the mid-game with a Lurker timing. He could definitely defend and hold out, but he's got to head to Hive Tech. He's got to get there. And with the air upgrades already on the way for Harstem, I don't know. I feel like he's just behind in the tech, and I don't know, he's got to do something special.
Yeah, I completely agree, and he managed to catch this War Prism. We see 6 Lurks is going to help quite a bit against the push as well from Harstem, who now is coming up to those 5 bases, but I feel now with all these Corruptors, you can't really use the War Prism well.
Oh, Lurker's not burrowed yet, though. I really think this is going to be Snoot in his element, where he just has to defend. But it's going to be a rough defense, because I completely agree with what you guys said. This game has not been going phenomenal so far for Snoot. His army is not as scary as it could be. This is sloppy, though, by Harstem. He's just donating 4 Phoenixes. All 6 Phoenixes are actually going to go down. Maybe 1 Phoenix lives to tell the tale. Yes, he does, but that's unfortunate, man, because those Phoenixes could have been phenomenal in lifting up those Lurkers.
Oh, goodbye 4th base, says Harstem. There is no way you can get in position to defend this. Takes out one of the Lurkers as they reposition. Could still focus it down, but oh, he's just going to use the Storms on that Zerg army as it moves forward. But oh, the Zealot's still hitting the hatchery. Just a few more Immortal shots will take it down. Snoot knows he needs to defend this, but he's not going to be able to. The hatchery goes down, the Storm zoning out the Hydras and Lings, and Harstem takes a very powerful economic position in this game.
And during all of this, he's already transitioning, throwing down that fleet beacon, 2 more Stargates, already has +1 air weapons. Harstem is showing the next level of Protoss, where other players got stuck in this tournament. Harstem is already transitioning. This has been a great game.
Whoa.
Look at that Storm on top of those Lurkers, all of them taking a crazy amount of damage. Maybe Harstem doesn't even need his Stargates.
Beautiful play from Harstem. I mean, he's just pushing right into Snoot, who's down to 3 bases. Sure, he has some Lurkers, but like, as he's clumping them up like he's right now, Harstem's just dealing insane amounts of damage with these Storms.
Snoot relying on the Corruptors with the Overseer to snipe down the Observer, but guess what? Harstem's added it in that mid-game Oracle. He has the Revelation down on the Lurkers providing detection. The Immortals and Storm just plowing through this army, and Harstem going to be driving through a very decisive Game 1 victory.
What a convincing victory here on Dusk Towers. You gotta love it, man, when you win before you even get your Tempests out, even though you've been investing in them. It's gonna be a little bit careful there. He will start bleeding out a couple of Immortals, but the damage has already been done. Even if this game goes on, Harstem is up 40-50 supply. He's getting ready for Tempest. He's on 4 bases and a Zerg on a 3-base economy of 34 drones. Well, to quote your countryman, that's nothing.
That's nothing, Roddy. Oh, sup, son.
Yes, shrugging a bit here. Harstem looking phenomenal in the very first map. But we have to remember, that was Dusk Towers. Snoot still has a few maps to go. But as you said before, you thought the first 5 maps were good, then it gets difficult.
Yeah, no, this is an excellent start. As a Protoss in a best of 7, you do really want to win Dusk. Like, I think you look at Dusk Towers and you look at Orbital, it's like, all right, man, if we're going to win this best of 7, I better win on Dusk and Orbital. Maybe you can drop one of the 2 and still close out the series, but it's going to be rough then. But Harstem right now definitely has to be feeling good. And Snoot probably, I think Snoot was a little bit indecisive there. He made a lot of links. That second wave of links was just too many. That really slowed down his economy, slowed down his tech. didn't really get any value out of it. And after that, suddenly he does everything at once, gets his 4th and his 5th base, drops his Spire, starts making Corruptus as well.
Takes all the damage to those Adepts that came across the map. Like, he just wasn't quite on top of his game there, and Harstem looked very solid, took advantage of that. But we are now going to be going into Laralac Crest and then Prion Terraces, the 2 maps which were Snoot's 2 picks. So he's definitely got some strong plans here. He feels very confident on these maps.
And of course, he did very well against Petit Drogo on those very maps as well, winning both of them, if I remember correctly. Of course, Laralac, he can use just how big the map is. And of course, when it comes to Prion, he actually went for every single gold expansion he just could.
Yeah,
You know, I think
he has a Westway, man.
exactly. And I think on Laralac Crest, I mean, recently we've seen a lot of all-ins on there from Zerg. Not only the Queen Ravager he showed against Drogo, but we also saw him going into... or other players going into the fast Roach Ling all-in when it's in the side spawns. That's definitely a strong option. There's just so many different attacks because the way that natural ramp is so far from the expansion and it's so spaced out.
Harstem showing us so far that nerves are not affecting him on this beautiful stage of the World Series Invitational Grand Final here as we are hopping into Laralac Crest for game number 2.
And here we have him, the player in the bottom left-hand side, playing for Invasion Esports. It is going to be Harstem.
Facing off against the powerhouse Zerg representing Team Liquid, hailing from Norway, it is Snute.
Snute, definitely not a player that gets very shaken up. He was down 0-2 against Nurcho, but he brought it back, so I think losing 1 game in the Grand Finals, that's definitely not going to shake him. Maybe if he goes down 3-0, that's where he starts getting a little bit nervous. This is awesome, by the way, for Harstem. Look at this, gets lucky with the first scout. He's going to be able to block this hatchery for now and forcing Snute to open up with a pool. Then again, now pool and gas, and that's where Laralac becomes a little bit annoying because defending at your ramp against early Zerglings, it's very tricky. Like, it's not impossible or anything, but it becomes annoying. At least Harstem does scout it, and I wouldn't even mind seeing a second gate.
Yeah, it's actually something where you've got to be a little bit fearful of forcing the Zerg into wanting to pressure you or do even an all-in attack. The pylon block here is good. The probe still dancing in circles. This is Shades of Wings of Liberty right here. That probe is every Zerg's worst nightmare right now.
Ah, he's still doing it. So well done.
Harstem just toying with Snute right now. Look at that micro with the probe, buying as much time as possible, and eventually Snute will be able to take that hat-trick, but just so annoying. And now we see the wall off at the natural ramp. Harstem with a great start already.
Yeah, it's going to take a little while, though, before he completes that wall off. I think if Snute would have just made a whole bunch, I really think in a situation like this, making 6 early links is very worth it, and you're going to get some value out of it. It's super frustrating to deal with if you play Protoss, especially if you're busy blocking on the other side of the map and you still drop your own Nexus.
Oh, interestingly enough, remaining on gas so far is Snute. Potentially looking towards doing, could be Ling Queen, potentially could be Ling Roach as well. Both very powerful options here. Of course, the Lava's delayed on his natural, but guess what? Harstem's delayed his own build by going for that very fast probe scout, going for that pylon block. So I think even though his own timing would be delayed, it's still going to be a very powerful potential option.
Let's see how much gas Snute decides to mine. So far, it's almost 100 extra gas. That's a whole lot of gas, actually. There goes the Roach Warren, so it could be Ling, Roach, Ravager.
Oh yeah, this is such a powerful build. I mean, Dark showcased this originally and popularized it in SSL against Stats, where he won with a decisive 3-0, and since then it has been all over the ladder, all through tournaments. Nurtio has been a big user of it, and now Snute, after that early pressure, is saying, this is my plan. I'm going to deny scouting with 8 Zerglings, and then we're going to go into that big wave of Roachling and just try to knock the pylons down and rush on in.
I love how you mention that, because that's the biggest problem with this build. It's just kind of hard to scout. You see a couple links early on, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Nurtio did this as well against Showtime, but Harstem is opening up very safe over here. 2 extra gateways. That is an excellent start in dealing with any sort of aggression. 3 base or a 3 gateway expand. That's super solid. That's a lot of production. And he also has multiple pylons powering those gateways, so he won't lose power to them immediately. I like Harstem's setup so far.
With enough energy for 2 mothership cannons as well. Snute already seeing that setup at the front, and he's kind of going, oh, starting to break down the back rocks because he knows he might not even be able to break through there. But if the Lings can at least threaten running into the main, then maybe the Roaches can surprise at the front.
The Mothership Core is still kind of out there. The Sentry is going to spot these Lings. It's like, that's quite a few Lings, and why are you so worried about trying to kill my rocks over here? There's a robotics facility on the way as well. The Roaches are avoiding the Mothership Core, but I feel that Harstem has an excellent idea of what's going on in this game.
He's reading it so damn well. Like, he doesn't really have any information that says this is definitely happening, but he's just building units. Yes, he's still building a few probes, but he's got a Robo on the way, 3 gates pumping out defensive units, and now he spots the Roaches. Now he knows what's coming his way. Snute is completely all in. He hasn't built a single drone since he started Roach production. He is just rallying masses of Speedlings, and he's got to make or break it right here.
That's definitely true, Pig. Right now he's breaking through rocks, gets a very nice hit onto that Mothership Core, but we do see the pylon starting that wall, trying to perhaps get those photon cannons in time, but Snute getting right into that base. Is he getting the force fields? Yes, he is, trapping so many Speedlings, but here comes the Ravagers from Snute.
Needs to get a couple of photon overcharges going. Oh man, those Lings getting right on top of the Sentries. I do like that other photon overcharge, but is this going to be enough for Harstem? He can lose a couple probes. Don't forget that he's a lot of workers ahead, but Snute is just going to ignore everything over here. He's going to go for the main, and he's going to try to take down as many probes as he possibly can. Oh, look at that corrosive bow. That's beautiful timing.
Oh, trying to stop those probes from transferring out of there. Huge damage going down, almost equalizing the work count. More Lings rallying across. The Adept is back in the wall, maintaining that. Another overcharge goes down. Snute simply cannot tank that damage, splitting up his units again. If he can focus down the Nexus in the main while reinforcing to the front wall, Harstem is trapped between a rock and a hard place. How can he defend both locations at once?
Yeah, this is great so far for Snute, but he still needs a little bit more. The first Immortal is out. It's very important this Immortal doesn't die. I love the rewall over here by Harstem. That's really good play. Lost a lot of workers, but he's still ahead worker-wise. And look at his Immortal just hammering away at those Roaches. Is Harstem going to hold over here?
Oh, the main is still standing, and I mean, we have more Lings coming in, but Harstem is doing it for now at least. Not enough energy on the Mothership Core though for the photon overcharge. Right now using his probes as a shield. The Immortal gets away from the corrosive bow. And is it enough?
So many workers going down here. The Speedlings just doing huge damage. The Immortal being an absolute hero. Still, Harstem is holding on, but so many more probes going down. More Lings rallying in. He's down to 15 workers versus 22 drones. More Roaches and Lings on the production tab.
Yeah, and there were still exposed probes as well in the main base. Harstem is going to bring those back. That's very smart because he cannot defend at main base right now. It was a great hold at first, but those final Lings really made this all worth it for Snute. But Snute, let's not forget, he doesn't have any tech whatsoever. If Harstem stabilizes here, gets a couple of Sentries, gets another Immortal, and decides to attack, it is still possible for the Dutch Protoss, but he is down 8 workers, and it is starting to get very, very painful.
Snute still getting into that main base, still looking for more kills. The Immortal, though, being worth its weight in gold. Nice micro for Snute, trying to get a Ravager as well, but I think eventually now Harstem will be able to clean this up.
He will be, but so much damage going down, and Snute's economic transition is well underway. Now at 32 drones versus the 17 probes, and still just distracting, still dealing damage here. Harstem, his back is up against the ropes. He finally cleans out his base. Wait, no, there's still one more Roach. He's still frantically trying to save his probes. But Snute, meanwhile, taking the third hatchery, droning freely. What an amazing position he's put himself into.
Absolutely. I mean, that was close there. That was at first a really good initial hold by Harstem. I like the Sentries as well, but Snute having just the right amount of corrosive balls to immediately crash through those force fields, that really made it all worth it for him. I really think Harstem did a good job in defending. Just later on, maybe losing a few too many probes to those Lings. Snute with relentless aggression, massive investment, but in the end, it did pay dividend as he's up 15 workers right now.
Definitely, and what I love so much about Snute as well is that he knew when to drone up again. He's getting a third, but once again, he's adding a lot of units to his army right now.
Yeah, looks like he might want to go for round 2. At 39 drones, notice he's got 3 gases mining. 3 gases, you can make a hell of a lot of Ravages with that, plus the Speedling production. But the Observer, it spots it. Oh, Harstem's got so much warning this is coming. He has to start preparing right now.
Doesn't have that much gas to work with though. Like what do you even make over here? If you invest too much in Sentries, you've got no DPS, and the force fields will get crashed again by corrosive bow. Immortal is definitely the right choice, but you need to make sure that you can protect those Immortals. I would say Immortal Adept, maybe Immortal Adept Zealot. I guess that's the best mix you can go for over here.
I think Harstem right now is still chrono boosting his Nexus. Right now, here comes the attack from Snute, trying to come in again. Of course, there are no back rocks anymore, so Snute can come in the back way. Only having 1 sentry, not really going to be enough to force field off that ramp, I believe.
Definitely not a moment where you want to lose your mothership core, so very good job there by Harstem making sure that doesn't happen. Layer is on the way, and Snute is getting a little bit paranoid as well. Drops his Spore Crawler, doesn't want to die against maybe Dark Templars or take a lot of economic damage from an Oracle.
This is so cute from Snute. He's playing against his image. Snute is the guy who sees a hard situation, backs out of the aggression, goes for economy, but that's the exact opposite of what he's doing right now. He shows the Roaches retreating to the mothership core, makes it look like he's backing out, and behind it he's just gone non-stop speedlings. He has an absolutely huge reinforce. It's all about to crash into Harstem. He's not expecting it. His units are out of position at the third, and all of his pylons are going down.
He's got a re-wall behind it though, very smart. The mothership core is still alive, still being annoying. Harstem is up 5 workers now, so if Harstem stabilizes here, he's down to 25 army supply, but if he survives, then he really got himself in a good position again. Sentries are a little bit out of position, and Snute is going to try to break through those rocks. Actually, he already broke them down before, and he should be able to get a cancel on this Nexus. I don't think there is any way for Harstem to save this Nexus.
Oh, and there we go. Snoot's getting into the third and starts killing off those sentries. Got to see if he can deal even more damage. Of course, now with not even enough force fields, all these lanes could just rush right on top of that Immortal.
The Queens are marching in as well. Why not? You want to be a little bit careful there. Snute is still just going for nothing but units. Killing the Nexus or the third Nexus, that's nice. But Snute wants more. He wants to end the game over here. And he kind of has to with the work account that he's working with.
Wow,
I love
those
the SimCity.
Lings just constantly threatening the run by. He's still got to keep a lot of units at the back to stop that. The third base going down again. Oh, nice force fields at the front, but he doesn't have enough DPS to kill these Ravagers. There's so many transfuses here. The Lings flooding in the back at the same time, starting to work on those gateways. These Immortals are the last stand of Harstem. Can they hang on against the onslaught of Zerg? No, they can't. And a massive GG. A good comeback for Snute to equalize at 1-1.
What a game. What an explosive game.
Yeah, beautiful play here from Snute, deciding to go as aggressive as he just could and worked just so well. Harstem not looking as happy this time around. And to be honest, I feel Snoot now having his 2 points is looking beautiful in the series.
Like, it's really hard to read a game like that as well after a weird early game where you take a lot of damage, but you also know it was a big investment for your opponent. Like, that was not a standard opening, so it's kind of hard to read it. Like, you start second-guessing yourself, like, I lost way too many probes, right? Like, I bet he already has 3 bases saturated, but this was actually a very, very, very close game. Maybe even closer than Harstem thought it was. Maybe Harstem thought he was dead, but he was just putting in a valiant left effort. But it was much more than that. Like, Harstem actually got close to maybe stabilizing and winning that game. If he survives one more fight, he's got it. Like, that game is his, absolutely. So maybe like that's one of these games where you have to look at the replay and you're like, wow, that was actually a lot closer, because Harstem looked a little bit frustrated there. I wonder if he knew how close that truly was.
It's got to be something that does mess with his head. I mean, he's going into Prion Terraces next, another map Protoss players do really struggle on, but I mean, especially going back to the first attack in that game, he said, this is your map, you chose Laralat Crest, I know you chose it for a reason. He had the perfect read, and to still take so much damage, that can be very, very destructive to your mindset in of itself.
But here we are, ladies and gentlemen, on Prion Terraces, our first player in the bottom right-hand corner, playing for Invasion Esports, the blue Protoss known as Harstem.
Of course, representing the Netherlands, as he's going up against the Titan in the foreign scene, representing Team Liquid, it is Snute.
Probe going for that pylon on the low ground for Harstem there. Going to be looking to secure that very quickly. Interestingly, the probe goes back and then decides, hey, wait a second, I really want to scout. He's going to go for that gateway on the low ground and then most likely head across that map to check out what's happening. Of course, Prion Terraces, we talk about it every time. Gold bases galore. That's what both players are looking to secure as quickly as possible. And the Zerg player really is just looking for a way to get up to the 3 base gold economy. And usually they want to do a huge attack off it. We saw Snute do it before. He loves to go and hit with a big Queen Ravager force, a massive Ravager Ling force, something that makes use of that huge mineral swell that he gets.
Oh, definitely, Pig. I mean, we see so many Zergs right now in this meta get like 3 bases, trying to get some eco going, then just massing units, and it works more on this map than any other, I want to say, in the map pool. So you're going to see Snute right now. He is looking for his own map.
And against Drogo, he actually went Hydra Speedbane. He did that really funky timing, didn't he? So I'm not sure if he's going to do that again, but that was like a really cute timing, which also, just with the huge amount of Zerglings with it, made use of that minerals.
The thing is, it's so hard to scout out builds like that, right? Because you see, oh, he's got quite a bit of larva, but what does that really mean? Maybe he just doesn't want to make Hydras one at a time, and then if you actually know that your opponent had 1,800 minerals in the bank and like 1,500 gas, like then you're able to put it together immediately, but you can never see how much money your opponent truly has. So it's really hard to spot things out like that, and that's only possible on maps like Pryan, where you have those gold bases, you know, and where your opponents just have more money than they normally have in a certain phase in the game.
And makes it an absolutely chaotic map, one which is very hard to just have that stable, reliable build. So a lot is going to be based off scouting, intuition, and who can get the upper hand throughout this early game, who can pressure, who can find those openings, and who can put the threat onto their opponent to force them to maybe play a little bit safer.
I think Harstem is going to go for that single adept again and send it across the map, because that one, that's a very early robo. That's a robo that's so early, it gives me the idea maybe he just wants to drop 7 gates behind it and go for a massive 2-base all-in. I know that sounds weird, and it's something that we haven't seen in a while, but a robo that early makes me suspicious as a cheesy Protoss myself.
Oh, it really does. I mean, normally it's a Stargate or a Twilight, and they normally still go down later than the timing that actually went down. So, I mean, with a Robo, you don't get any of these harassment opportunities. You don't get adept attack speed. You don't get Phoenixes. It's always about doing that hard and fast.
Yeah, very interesting clash of builds here. Such an early Robo. Then again, as you said, Rotti, I mean, we have the Evo coming up here. We could start seeing those Overlords dropping links into the bases of Harstem.
And if that actually, that could happen, and whether it's an all-in or not, I don't think it's going to be an all-in. I think Snute is just looking for getting a couple of kills here and there. Then we already see that super fast Warp Prism. This could also be 4-gate Warp Prism harass into maybe saving up 2 Immortals and then following it up with a stronger all-in with Immortals behind it, Immortals and Gateway units. We'll see. This Adept, though, already spotted that Overlord, and that Overlord was way too suspicious.
Oh, yeah. Harstem on the ball. It's just so common for players to go for that on this map. That Adept is definitely not going to
he
be
sees
that
it.
position.
Massive. So massive for Harstem.
Yeah, definitely. Harstem right now can get a few units there to get ready for the drop, and of course with that Overlord speed, it's going to take quite a while to get it going, but Harstem, well, he does have his Mothership Core in position at least.
Snute's economy not actually that strong right now with the pylon block on the 3rd, the very fast Roach Warren he's building. He's actually down 10 workers right now. He's going to be going for that drop, but he's going to slide in unnoticed. That could actually be very powerful.
Yeah, I don't think that Harstem actually saw it. Like, we saw that Harstem saw it, but I think that Harstem wasn't looking at his Adept on that moment. I think otherwise his Mothership Core would have been right on top of that pylon right now. And this already hurts, man. You got to pull your probes out of position. You lose 3 workers. Well done there by Snute. I think all he's looking for with a single drop like that.
Oh, wow. Snute's building 8 Roaches. He's still only on 26 drones. He's looking to go all in again. And Harstem going for the fast 3rd, doing some very light Warp Prism scouting. I mean, if Harstem doesn't realize what's happening right now, he could be dead. No. Oh, he does see Roaches popping out. He's got to realize what's happening.
Yep. I think even canceling that 3rd base, there's absolutely no shame in that. And just throw down a couple of extra gateways. Just 3 gateways and a Robo. It should be fine, because this is a much harder ramp to attack into. There are not 2 positions that Harstem has to worry about. He only has... No, he cannot move out with his units.
Harstem's not been looking at his scouting. He doesn't realize right now. He did not see those Roaches. He has no idea. Oh, but the Ravager shows itself. Okay, Snute's hand has been shown. He's now been revealed. But why is he still going to the low ground? Harstem being so risky here. The Speedlings are about to arrive. If he gets caught and surrounded on that low ground, everything is over.
This is so risky right now. Harstem being forced back to his natural. Snute looking for that 3rd base. So little left for Harstem to defend with. The Sea of Photon Overcharge right away, but only 2 Immortals.
Too early, though, those Photon Overcharges. Corrosive Ball is going to rain on top of a couple of these Protoss units. The Warp Prism is still alive. I mean, as long as the Immortal's alive, there's definitely a chance. Good pickup there by Harstem, but he's going to need some parting level pickups over here.
That's a lot of Zerg barreling down here. I mean, there's a lot of Protoss still alive, though, with the Pylon Cannon. And look at this. The expensive Zerg units are starting to go down. The Ravager count down to just 2. The Roach is almost completely gone. The Immortal's still alive. And a beautiful hold from Harstem. A half-baked assault from Snute, not finding its mark.
Wow. I mean, maybe Snute should have just disengaged there for a split moment and killed this Nexus, and there's a good chance that Harstem would have tried to still keep it alive, because he already used multiple Photon Overcharges over here. I love these Adepts. These Adepts are going to try to keep these Immortals safe. Where's the Warp Prism, though? You can't afford to lose those Immortals.
Oh, the barrier doing work, but eventually one of these Immortals is going to go down, but every single Zergling in return for it. I think Harstem's happy with that. He's up about 15 workers right now. He's just looking impregnable. Snute's attack this game not looking anywhere near as strong as in the previous one.
But Snute is still just rallying units. He's not giving up. And remember, that was the last link that killed that Immortal. That's a pretty big deal, actually. We do have the Warp Prism now as well, moving out for Harstem. I'm not sure about that.
I think he's just scouting a little bit. He wants to see
Oh,
units
okay.
come. If they will attack him, he wants to see them a little bit earlier so he can reposition his army. I mean, he has 3 Immortals now. Normally, with 3 Immortals and Gateway units, you're not supposed to just die anymore against Ling, Roach, Ravager. Especially not if you're the Protoss that has 17 workers more than the Zerg. Like,
Oh,
this
yeah.
is phenomenal. Harstem did a really great job in defending that. And Snute, I think he overcommitted on that ramp. 2 Immortals below a Prism and Photon Overcharge. That's not something you really want to fight as a Zerg.
You just can't take it. He definitely did need to just go for the third base and pull out of that. Ooh, nice fire.
Oh no, Snute killing his own Ravager. That was the most biggest mistake so far.
Oh no. He's only up in army supply by 10. These units are so much more valuable for Harstem. Some nice force fields going down.
Wow.
Beautiful trap on some of those units. And Harstem here, I mean, he's still got to be a bit careful. He can't be too cavalier. But with so many adepts in the army, these Zerglings are going down so quickly.
And he's getting 5 more adepts from the north side right now. Corrosive Vow is taking out a sentry and an adept, but this Protoss army is way stronger than this Zerg army, and Snute, he's just got in a very, very awkward position right now. He can't really tack up because he's too far behind economically, but the units that he's making can also not fight Harstem's army, so what do?
It's all about them corrosive ball at this point, I guess. Right now, Snute, he's not giving up. He's down to 28 workers. You can't macro out of this. He's just going to keep rallying these links and hope for the
Ooh.
best.
I mean, if he gets a big wraparound and he indeed lands a couple of big corrosive balls, then anything is possible. But normally, this should be Harstem's game. Harstem should hold over here.
Yeah, and well, here we go. The link sweeping in. A few corrosive balls do hit the Immortals. The Immortals, though, dealing so much damage to the Ravagers and Roaches, of course. But, well,
Ooh.
they are taking some serious damage right now.
A lot of Protoss units going down, but there's definitely not going to be an ability to break through to the mineral line. The last Zerglings disappear, as do the Ravagers, the most expensive core of the Zerg army, and it is only a matter of time now. Harstem going to go for the counterattack. Snute forced out of that game.
Victory dance.
Harstem going up 2-1 in the grand finals of WCS Shanghai. Just showing us phenomenal.
Zerglings can surround your adepts in that tiny gap between our
Not
bases,
even really.
you know?
Like they can hog against them, and then you
Exactly.
still make a bad trade. But we'll see. It's going to be a very big game. Obviously, very, very big one. Still the biggest series out of Harstem's career so far, but instead of being nervous, he's been enjoying every minute of it. He's, of course, the Dutch Protoss, spawning on the left bottom side of arena, representing Invasion Esports. It is Harstem.
We have him, and of course his opponent here in the top left-hand side as the Red Zerg, representing Team Liquid from Norway. It is Snute.
Jens Skywalker.
Harstem playing different than Drogo. Drogo dropping that pylon on the low ground. Harstem not doing that.
Yeah, going to take it a little bit more conservative. Is going to go for the pylon block here. Of course, Snute did send his drone out a little bit early, but he's still got to be a bit annoyed that he's being forced into this tech path. Interestingly, this time not going for the gas with the spawning pool. He's adamant about playing a gasless style. I'm pretty sure he's confident if he can get queens out, if he can get a spore crawler or a spine crawler blocking that short rush distance, then he'll be very safe versus
He's going to
adepts.
try to block it again, but he will be a little bit too late there. That's, of course, because he didn't take that gas. It would have been awesome for Harstem to block that a little bit longer, because that spawning pool is still not done. He does drop the extractor again, though, Pig.
That's interesting. It's a little bit of a later one. Could just be for a Zergling speed and then pulling off it again. As we saw, I believe, in map 1 of this series. It is going to be curious. Okay, the Nexus goes down for Harstem as well, but without the pylons down there on the low ground, going to be a little bit harder to secure that position.
I completely agree, and I mean, right now, we're kind of looking forward to at least a kind of standard opening from both players. Of course, Arena being so special, having such a narrow corridor to move through. It doesn't really turn into a normal map until you break down those rocks, so you can really flood through with speedlings, for instance, without having to worry to be having to funnel in.
Do you guys think it's possible that Snute is going to go for Link Queen on these positions? I mean, the hatchery is a little bit later. Let's keep a close eye on the gas. I can sort of see him do it. I can sort of...
You know what? I think from talking to Snute, I think I recall a conversation around Katowice where we were saying, you know, like, once the Protoss players are good enough, they know how to defend it, and they're just not going to lose to it very often. So I don't know if he has a lot of faith in that build.
Okay.
And I think especially after the last 2 maps, I think if he does go aggressive, it's going to be off 50 or 59 drones. Somewhere in that middle stage where he wants to push with the big army. And obviously, one option we could maybe even see is an ultra late game where Broodlords actually just push so quickly on this map. So if Snute does want to completely change up what he's shown so far, he could do that.
pretty early robotics facility here for Harstem, and it is indeed not going to be Link Queen drop as Snute stopped mining gas a while ago. But I love this though, Harstem first blocking the natural, now blocking the third base. These may seem like small things, but you really slow the Zerg economy down significantly, and I like the way that Harstem has played this map so far.
Yeah, not going to get 5 workers again with the depth, at least this time. Now, we do see Snute finally taking his third base, but let's see what's going to happen with his super early robo. Does look very similar to the previous match, of course, or the previous game, where now we see the War Prism on its way. It's right straight for that main base. Snute now getting Overlord speed, though.
Snute is building an extra queen and more Zerglings. Yes, he's building Overlord speed, but it's too late for the standard Ling Queen drop.
Yeah.
However, we don't see more drones. We do see the regular drone count for a Ling Queen drop. So there is still the potential. We see Overlords of Snutes pulling back as if ready to morph into those drop Overlords. If we see an Evo Chamber go down soon, then it definitely is going to be that all-in. But no Evo Chamber yet. Has he forgotten? He's massing Zerglings. I think he's forgotten the Evo Chamber.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, I'm getting very confused over here as well. Like, he cannot possibly be worried about an attack from Harstem. That's definitely not it. Maybe he wants to freak Harstem out, but still no Evo Chamber. Like, what is Snute gonna do with all the... Now he
there
makes
it goes.
it!
Oh, that's a huge
my
mistake
God.
from Snute, and Harstem now coming in with this War Prism. I mean, if Harstem realizes the lack of drones here, this is going to be so detrimental for Snute.
And seeing that number of Zerglings, Harstem's already going to feel his hair stand on end a little bit. He's got to feel like something weird is going on here.
Okay.
The Baneliness, I mean, this is what you got to do, right? What could possibly bring me back into this game? Maybe dropping some Banelings. That this is just a disastrous situation.
He's still going to go for it. I think he's still going to go for the all-out Link Queen drop. I definitely don't think he's given up on it.
He's still making queens.
Okay, now he makes drones. Maybe it's going to be Bane drops then, indeed.
Yeah, this is so awkward for Snute. He's building more queens, more lings. Like, he's going to have to go for the drop, but it's just going to be so late that simply through building units with his money, Harstem should be able to defend.
Yep.
It's going to be a miraculous situation where maybe if Harstem moves out and tries to defend all 3 bases, then an opportunity may open up for Snute.
I think if everything unloads in the main base, it still becomes hard though. A couple of Banelings morphing over here as well. Snute is building drones behind this, and that is what's really confusing me. Like, is this going to be all out or not? He morphed like 5 Overlords or something. Harstem has a pretty damn good idea of what's going on. Maybe he's going to unload. I mean, with the Banes, if you drop the Banes on top of that army, there are no Stalkers in that army. So it is possible, but he's not picking up the Queens and the Lynx.
No, the Lynx right now running around the entire map. We see the Overlords coming in for the drops. Those are, of course, Banes and Queens heading for the main base. That Mothership core, though, having those 2 powers to work with and a lot of energy, looking pretty good for Harstem.
I think it's just Banelings, though. I think it's no Queens whatsoever.
Zerglings
right?
hitting the third, just 8 Banelings. He's going to try and decimate the main mineral line while cancelling the third. If he can pull this off, he still has a shot in this game, but it looks like those Immortals and Sentries are in position. The Zerglings have to pull back. The Overlords still have not entered the base. Snute dawdling here with these Overlords. He's very indecisive. He needs to be much more on point with this. The Mothership core moving to react. The probes pulling away, dropping Queens and Banelings. Only going to get a couple of workers. Not what he was looking for at all.
That's so awkward for Snute. And I mean, behind this, he was kind of trying to drone a bit. He's getting a Roach War, but he's not making anything happen with this so far.
Unloaded the 2 Queens, now also revealed that he has 2 more Banelings. He's going to try to drop those Banelings on top of the mineral line in the natural, but Harstem reacts to that as well. Warps in a few more Stalkers, gets the kill on the Overlord. And oh my god, Harstem is in an absolutely phenomenal position because Snute has kind of been defeating himself so far in this game.
We said Snute would be the one player who would not be affected by that last loss, but it looks like the opposite is true. He's a little bit shaken in his boots right now. His macro is great trying to recover from here, but after such a huge deficit, committing so much, it's just not looking good. He's down about 30 supply, down 20 army supply, nothing in position to deal with this Warp Prism. We'll have a few Roaches popping out. But, I mean, the late game, what is he going to do? How can he contest the Immortals, the Sentries, the double Stargate on the way? What can Snute do from here?
I think on this point, the only thing he can do, and that's exactly not what he's doing, is make a lot of drones, try to get up to 68 drones. And I know that you're rolling the dice there, because if your opponent attacks you, you're super dead. But I feel that's the only chance that he has. By making more and more Lings, Roaches, and Ravages here of this weak economy that he has, I just don't see him win, like, ever.
Yeah, I mean, this is really relying on your opponent standing in the corrosive bile. Like, if he micros well, there's no way this is going to work out. There's just going to be too much Protoss. Equal army supply with a much higher value density army. It's just looking very good for Harstem right now, but it looks like Snute is committed. He wants to go for one big last-ditch push.
He's most certainly is, Pig, and here we go. Snute is pushing across, but he doesn't have anything at home for this harassment coming up from Harstem. Snute right now, he's still going for it though. He has nothing at home, and here he goes. He needs to kill Harstem right now.
There are forced with not too many adepts over here, so he has to be a little bit careful that he doesn't get surrounded by Zerglings. The Warp Prism in the main has been doing quite a bit, and let's not... Oh no, the Immortals are super exposed. It's a small mistake there, but Harstem will be able to save them in time. Let's not forget about these Void Rays, guys. These Void Rays are gonna rain justice from above all over these Ravagers.
Yeah, and remember also, of course, the Ravagers have activated shields on several of these Immortals, so they are susceptible, but so far so good for Harstem. He's holding on.
Oh my, the Void Rays are out now. The Warp Prism is just running circles around Snute's base. Snute down to 45 drones against 64. Probes, more Zerglings on the way. The Corrosive Bile trying to make magic happen. But hey, you're going to need more than a little magic in this game.
Corrosive Biles is a little bit of magic, but he needs a lot of those. I mean, he doesn't have a real answer to these Void Rays either. I love that Harstem is making multiple Void Rays. I think it makes a lot of sense. He's up 40 supply. Protoss being up 40 supply over Zerg, being up 27 workers. I mean, that's an absolute dream scenario for the Dutch Protoss right now.
Oh yeah, the Warp Prism dropping again, more and more drones going down. Harstem gaining confidence as this game goes on. He has to feel untouchable right now with the way this is going.
Yeah, and Harstem is just going to continue doing this. He's getting more and more Void Rays, more Immortals, now getting a Dark Shrine. You know, he's getting his Glaives going. Everything is looking perfect for our Dutch player, and Snute so up against the ropes, he's even going to have to defend at this point.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if he can defend it. If Harstem makes a few more units, if he gets 185 supply, 190 supply army, there is no answer to that with the units that Snute is currently working with. Corrosive Bile can do some miracles though, but I really love the way that Harstem has been playing this. I really feel that he's absolutely in his zone right now. And the only mistake he can make is clumping up all his units, taking a lot of damage off Corrosive Bile. Okay, that's not a good start to this fight.
The Queens have arrived, raining down a little bit of anti-air. That pylon, though, has shut down so many Zerglings trying to assault the mineral line. The Biles, they're pushing Harstem back, but they're not really killing a lot.
He's gonna let him finish.
Every Ravager that goes down is going to be massive.
Yeah, he lets the Shades finish as well. It's all or nothing right now for Snute. Great Corrosive Biles, but it won't really be enough. And as you say, here comes the justice from the Voyagers, just killing off every single Ravager, and Harstem is about to take his third point in this best out of 7.
Wow, GG, an awesome game there by Harstem. Absolutely phenomenal performance by him. I really feel from start to finish, he did everything right. Snute made a lot of mistakes, and he didn't make mistakes because he was forced into them. He just made a lot of unexplainable decisions. Forgetting the evolution chamber, or if that was part of the build order, that is absolutely the strangest build order that I've ever seen on the arena. Like, I don't think that's the case.
I think there's no way that could be anything but a bit of human error, a bit of a fault there. I think, well, I kind of feel like Harstem's identified something in this series, and that is that if he pylon blocks Snute multiple times, delays his hatcheries, Snute will all in him. We noticed multiple times in a row now, Harstem, he's going for this very aggressive pylon block, blocking the third base, and something seems to be triggering in Snute's mind, and he's saying, I need to kill you. You know what? I think you're going to delay my economy, you're going to go greedy at home to try and get an economic advantage, but that's not the case. Even if Snute did hit that timing very crisply, Harstem went straight for the fast Warp Prism. He's scouting everything that's going on. He's building a lot of units. He's building Immortals early. I don't feel like this is the right reaction. I feel like Harstem, simply through the power of that single probe in the early game, is forcing Snute into some bad decisions.
Yeah, and also, of course, what's even worse for Snute perhaps at this point is the next map is going to be Orbital Shipyard. This is going to be difficult for our Zerg. And I want to say, just getting to this point in the finals where Harstem is one game away from taking the entire championship, who would have thought? Looking at all these brackets, all these players, all the qualifiers. I mean, Harstem didn't even qualify from the get-go. He went through the open brackets.
He showed up. He shows everyone right now that it's always worth it. If there is a WCS event, and if you haven't qualified yet, just go there. Try to make it through the open bracket, because there is a chance that you'll be playing on the grand finals, on the grand stage later, and you make it all the way to the finals. Now he's up 3-1. It's been an absolutely phenomenal run for Harstem. He's been in China for like almost 10 days already. I mean, the open bracket started quite a while ago, and now he's here, one map win away from making it all the way to the grand finals. I'm already so excited because I look at the build orders, but this is Harstem.
And facing off against the Zerg opponent in the bottom left-hand side, representing Team Liquid, hailing from Norway, it is Liquid Snute.
And oh my god, Rotti and Pig, this is a 12 pool from Snute.
Pylon Scout. Pylon Scout from Harstem, though. Oh my lord, he's going to have vision of this so early, and he's going for the gateway behind it. No Nexus first. This is the perfect situation for Harstem. The build orders just cannot possibly get better than this. He's going to see the spawning pool so early. Snute, he's committing to a huge Zergling rush, and it's going to be spotted, and Harstem's not even doing a greedy build.
He's even taking the gas as well. Harstem opening up here as safe as one could possibly open up. And this is going to be an absolute disaster for Snute. Harstem is going to scout the spawning pool, and this really reminds me of a long, long time ago when Hawk played in the grand finals against Moon. Do you guys remember that at DreamHack? Where he scouted the early pool in game 5, and Hawk just knew, he's like, I've got this, like my build can deal with this, and Hawk was smiling already. I bet you right now, Harstem is smiling too. This looks absolutely phenomenal for him on paper. Of course, a 12 pool is not as all-in as a 6 pool, but it's pretty damn close, and this is just a great start for Harstem.
The drone was even going to the front base to expand there, and the pylon was sitting there, and Snute goes, oh, all right, we're going to go to the other base then. Fine, keep on toying with me. For those Zerglings going across the map, they are going to meet a Zealot already popped, a Cybercore already almost finished. Harstem with his defense set up perfectly so far.
Yep, Chrono boosting out that second Zealot as well. Can after this, of course, invest into the Mothership Core, and from that point on, he should be fine. Is Snute going to sacrifice these Zerglings or not? Is he going to try to break through? I don't think so. Nobody wants to ever fight a Zealot that's tucked away between two buildings, because you're going to end up losing 8, 9 Zerglings by the time that you manage to get through that guy. And with the second Zealot here, I mean, this rush has ended.
Yeah, most definitely. And I mean, Snute trying some cute micro, trying to get past Harstem, but he's not going to let that happen. Harstem knows he can take some damage as long as he doesn't let that Zealot get surrounded. And Snute behind this is trying to drone, he's trying to recover, but he's just so far behind at this point.
Yep. If you guys wonder why we're making such a big deal out of this, just look at the worker count. Protoss 23 workers, Zerg 17. That is not normal in this phase in the game. Of course, Snute is getting a second hatchery behind this. And I mean, Zerg does have comeback potential, but this is far from the ideal start. And if Harstem is smart, he just follows this up with, this time actually some light pressure, and force the Zerg to make units and never allow Snute to economically recover. And from that point on, it should be Protoss' game.
That's what is really important here, because there are still a lot of decisions that happen in the next few minutes. And if he doesn't get on the other side of the map, if he doesn't try to pressure Snute, Snute will be allowed to be very greedy. Normally behind this, you go for a fast gas. You need a fast Zergling speed. Snute skipping that completely, saying, look, to get back from here, I got to play gasless. I got to just focus on drones, drones, drones for at least a few minutes. He's hidden his Zerglings off to the side, and he's going to keep poking with those. Interestingly, though, hasn't gone for the destructible rocks on the back yet. Thought he might have tried to take those down.
Really like this for Harstem, by the way, going for the Stargate. I mean, if he gets the Oracle, maybe Snute's trying to get the corners, not getting those, not getting all the Spore Cores like we saw him sometime actually skipping 1 or 2. And if he goes for the Phoenix, well, he's going to shut down the potential to drop completely from Snute. So just a good choice here by Harstem.
Yeah, it's definitely not a bad choice. Look at that third Nexus, by the way. Super quick, all things considered. But I think against the build, if Harstem would have known that Snute was gasless, I think 3-gate pressure with a War Prism would have been even better. I think that really would have almost been game-ending, because Snute would have been forced to make so many units. And against Phoenixes, Phoenixes are absolutely phenomenal in every scenario, but it's also a slow unit, right? It takes some time. Like, one Phoenix doesn't do anything. You need 4 or 5 Phoenix before you can really start doing some economic damage. And this will give Snute some time to at least build up a reasonable economy.
I think this is the perfect decision from Harstem, going for the third base.
Yeah,
Snute just can't really do anything. You're right, there's other options that could punish Snute directly, but indirectly, Harstem's economy is just going to soar ahead. Snute still has only just...
Oh my god, look at that force field trapping every single Zergling, and Snute, no Zerglings left. That is an amazing move from Harstem.
If I'm Harstem right now, I'm really sending 3 Adepts across the map. Like, those Adepts are bound to do some damage. There is still no Zergling speed. I mean, that's maybe not something that Harstem could possibly know. Just now, the Roach Warren is going down. Not a single Spore Crawler, by the way. So even though Snute is up 10 workers, this is a little bit deceiving. Snute is going to end up losing some Overlords soon. He's going to be forced to morph a couple drones into Spore Crawlers. And by that time, Harstem is producing 3 probes at a time. And Harstem should be able to at least even things up economically, if not take a worker lead.
Yeah, Snute trying to equalize here by focusing on those drones, delaying his tech. No lair on the way. Zergling speed and a Roach Warren. Snute is going to try and claw his way back into this game. He doesn't have any creep spread. He's saying, look, I've got to just build queens for anti-air, build drones. We're going to skip, like you said, the spore crawlers. We're going to skip the creep tumors. But the Phoenix are going to come in. They're going to start punishing this. The queens unable to move between the bases easily. One queen going down at the front. They'll
not in time. There was he picked up the wrong unit there. That's very fortunate for Snute. One of these cocoons got picked up, and that's not something you really want to kill. He will get a kill on the second queen there as well. So decent, but could have been worse for Snute.
Definitely. Harstem right now, though, he's just gearing up. He's getting his second robo ready, already churning Immortals and adding more and more Phoenix. I mean, even having one spore crawler sometimes can't even be enough if you get enough of those flying units.
Well, what a moment for Harstem. I mean, he's been playing competitively RTS for such a long time, and he came close to having a couple of decent runs, but he never even really made it this far. The best result in his career up to this point was top 8 at DreamHack Tours. Top 8, guys. Now he's 3-1 up in the grand finals of WCS Shanghai, and he's playing so clean, like he's almost playing flawless StarCraft over here.
Snute here has his plan. He's had it throughout the entire tournament against Protoss. It involves attacking before the Protoss gets out of control. From this position behind, it's going to be a tough call, but he's going for it anyway. Queens, Ravagers, Roaches, and Zerglings flooding across this map. The Phoenix is withdrawing. How are the Queens going to get over there, though? There's not a lot of creep spread. Those Queens aren't going to be able to support those Ravagers for a long time, and these Phoenixes are going to have a party.
Yeah, here we go, picking up those Ravagers. Gets a Phoenix, though. Nice little focus here by Snute, but Harstem just doing such a good job.
Doing a phenomenal job there. Even if he doesn't kill them, he does so much damage to these Ravagers, keeping the Phoenixes alive, and he always has such a good mix between Zealots, Adepts, Immortals as well. 2 more Immortals are about to pop, and that's really the firepower that he needs to deal with his Zerg army. This is still going to be a rather tricky hold, but these Phoenixes, I love how active he is with these Phoenixes. He killed like 4 Ravagers so far.
Oh, that damage is massive. Snute needs to do huge damage. He's down 15 workers right now. He's got to do more than this. He can't just stay here. Every second that goes by, those Phoenixes get more energy. Okay, the Queens are finally here. They can help protect from that. Don't get force fielded up that ramp, Snute. You've got to be careful. There's so many overcharges, so many units. Harstem not letting himself get surrounded, not going too far out. Perfect play from Harstem.
That Phoenix micro so far, though, he's doing a phenomenal job. He sniped so many units, and I think he only lost 1 Phoenix so far. Buying more times for more Immortals. I really think that Harstem is doing everything right over here. And Snute needs to win the game here. Tournament life is on the line.
Great corrosive bounce, though, coming out for Snute. This is Snute's last chance. Is this how it ends? Lynx coming in. Go try to get this around, but great force fields from Harstem.
Going with the massive pickups there. The Speedlings, though, flooding in, going for the wraparound. One more overcharge goes down. The Phoenix is still alive. The Queen's still alive, though. A lot of energy there. Still a 25 army supply lead. And the Mothership core goes down. No more pylon overcharge. A cannon does finish up, but those Phoenixes are almost out of energy.
Can Snute kill these Immortals? That's really what it all comes down to. The Immortals moving forward right now. A lot of Queens start falling, and Harstem is starting to take a supply lead. I really think Harstem is going to hold over here, and that is going to allow Harstem to win his first WCS tournament ever.
It's too much.
He's smiling, he knows it, he's dancing.
This is the game. This is even the championship of Harstem's life. He's right now just counter-pushing against Snute. Snute has nothing left. He lost every queen, lost virtually all the Ravagers. There is virtually no way for Snute right now.
He is down. He is gutted. Harstem feeling victory just within his grasp. This is such a great position for him to be in. He's going to be feeling so confident right now. The Queen's trying to run home desperately, saying, get me out of here. But the Protoss army is going to catch him. The Phoenix is lifting, and he's just coming in. It's inevitable. That is so many Immortals. What the hell do you do against that?
It's going to be Roach Ravager Zergling against Immortal Zealot, and we've already seen that a couple of times in Heart of the Swarm. That is a good fight for Protoss. A couple of sentries being thrown in the mix as well. Guardian Shield going to help out, and of course force fields as well. Here come those links. Harstem has to be careful that he doesn't overstep his boundaries on creep. He doesn't have to do this. He has +2 on the way. He has charge on the way. But his army looks powerful.
And here comes Harstem. Snute right now trying to push him back, doing a fairly decent job, but has to watch out for those force fields. Getting a lot of these links is Harstem. That's a lot of Ravagers though. And Snute right now buying some time.
More Lings on the way. They're going to try to get the wraparound. If Lings can get on top of the Immortals, this could be the start of maybe a remarkable comeback for Snute, but he's losing a lot of units before the reinforcements have arrived.
The force fields are just too good there. They bought so much time, they spaced out the army, and by the time Snute closed in, he only had a third of his army left alive. Those Immortals have got so many kills. They're all absolute veterans at this point. The Phoenix is still dodging the bile, still picking off. And these Phoenixes, they have been worth their weight in gold.
I was about to say it, man. This is some of the best Phoenix play we've seen throughout the entire tournament here at the Gold Series International WCS Shanghai. Absolutely great, phenomenal Phoenix play by Harstem, and I think he's gonna do it, man. He's going to be the first Dutch player since Red won tournaments in 2011 to win an international StarCraft 2 tournament, and that is something to be very, very, very proud of if you're a Dutchman, and I am.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think 2016 is going to be the year of Harstem, just playing out of his mind, and I see nowhere right now for Snute. He's picking off the 4th base, sure, but he doesn't have one of his own, and Harstem's army is looking phenomenal.
Got 3 more where that came from, Zerg. Harstem does not care right now. He's just launching his way across that map. The Zerglings, hey, they're going to pick up a couple kills, but guess what? There's more Immortals, there's more Overcharge, there's more cannons there, and this army at the front, that is the beast that Snute needs to find a way to stop. That army's going to crash in. Harstem just feeling it right now. He's pushing in, taking his time with it. The Archon splash on the Lings is massive. This is devastating.
+2 against no upgrades, 4 bases against 3, still no layer tag for Snute. It's almost done, but I mean, that's a sad looking Zerg army for this phase in the game. Snute is trying to do his absolute best. I mean, nobody wants to tap outright with the tournament live on the line. Nobody wants to give up early, but this Protoss army is absolutely unstoppable. These Immortals, they will be immortal.
And here we see Harstem looking to end this game. He's pushing up the ramp. A lot of corrosive bars going down, but is it going to be enough? I do not think so. Chancellor's coming in, Phoenix picking up those queens, and that's a lot of Immortals for Harstem.
Oh, the Speedlings flooding in from the right-hand side. That single Archon destroying them, ripping them to shreds. So many Ravages lifted in the air. Can't launch their corrosive files while they're disabled. And Snute is forced out. Harstem takes his first championship in Legacy of the Void.
Absolutely phenomenal performance by the Dutch Protoss representing Invasion Esports. Harstem with the tournament run of his life takes out Snute 4-1 in the grand final. What a guy!
What a guy! Stellar play from Harstem. This is his championship.
Absolutely beautiful.